Today we'll be reading Daniel Goes to the Playground from Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. Oh, look at Daniel juggling. Good job, Daniel. It was a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and Daniel and his family were at the playground with Prince Wednesday and Miss Elena. "Hi, neighbor," said Daniel. "Margaret and I are swinging. One day she'll be big enough to go on a big kid swing like me. Right, Margaret?" Dan," said Margaret as she watched Daniel. Well, after swinging, Daniel and his friends decided to play circus. Boy, that sounds like fun. Daniel's mom and dad sat down nearby to watch the show with baby Margaret. First up, Prince Wednesday. He swung on the flying trapeze. Next, Miss Elena walked the tightrope forward, and then she walked the tightrope backward. Well, then it was Daniel's turn. Daniel was going to juggle. So Daniel said, "And now Daniel Tiger the Gorific will do his tiger-tastic juggling act." Daniel threw 1, 2, 3 juggling balls up in the air. "Mom, Dad, look at me," Daniel exclaimed as he tried to catch the balls. But Daniel's mom and dad weren't looking at Daniel juggling. They were helping Margaret. Well, that made Daniel feel sad. So Daniel walked over to his mom and dad and said, "You didn't see me juggling." "I'm sorry, Daniel," said Mom Tiger. "Your sister needed us." "But I needed you too," said Daniel. "I needed you to watch me juggle." Well, Mom Tiger said, "I know it can be hard when we need to pay attention to Margaret." "Well, it is hard," said Daniel. "It feels different. Before Margaret, you used to pay attention to me all the time." "Well, that's true," said Mom. "It is different with Margaret around. But when a baby makes things different, find a way to make things fun." Well, Daniel tried to think of a way that Margaret could make things more fun. He thought and thought and thought until Margaret toddled over to Daniel, rolling the juggling balls toward him. "That gives me an idea," Daniel said. "Baby Margaret can help me with my juggling act, and then everyone can watch both of us. That will be lots of fun." Ga," said Margaret. "That sounds like a great idea, Daniel." So now Daniel said, "Presenting Daniel the Gorific and his sister and juggling helper, Margaret the Magnificent," Daniel announced. So Daniel tossed the ball to Margaret, and then Margaret rolled it back to him. They were juggling together, and this time everybody was watching. Great idea, Daniel. Well, playing circus on the playground was so much fun. Daniel started to pretend and make believe that he was performing in a real circus. I love that costume, Daniel. You even have trolley on there. Well, then Miss Elena said, "It's time for the circus parade. Everyone line up." So Daniel, Prince Wednesday, and Miss Elena all got in line for the circus parade. And Margaret, she got in line too. No, Margaret, this parade is just for big kids," said Daniel. Daniel and his friends paraded around the swings and the sandbox, but everywhere they went, Margaret followed them and went too. "Mom," said Daniel, "I don't want Margaret to be in the parade. She's too little." Said Mom. "I wonder if we can make room for everyone in the parade, even little tigers." "That would be different," said Daniel. "It will be different. But when a baby makes things different, find a way to make things fun," Mom reminded Daniel. Daniel looked over at Margaret, and she made a silly face. Daniel couldn't help but laugh and giggle. Margaret, you are so silly, Daniel said. Well, just then, Daniel got another terrific idea. Maybe Margaret can be the clown in our parade. That would be different and fun, said Daniel. Boo, 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 said Margaret. Good idea, Daniel. Let the parade begin. Again, said Daniel happily, and they all paraded around the playground together. Great job, Daniel. And Daniel says, I love playing at the playground today with Margaret. Do you have a baby in your family? How do you feel when things are different? It's different for me with baby Margaret, but now I know that different can be fun. Ugga mugga. Great job, Daniel. The end.